Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to view PDFs inside your Expo React Native app, and I'm going to show you how to do that using the React Native PDF, and also I'm going to install the config plugins, which will mean that I don't need to eject from Expo and I can continue to use the Expo tooling. You need to specify those plugins inside that app.json file, and so I've copy and pasted in there, and you can check out my code on GitHub to see that. I'm also going to go ahead and configure the build profile. So why I need to do that is I'm going to make a standalone app so that I can test the viewing of PDFs. And I'm going to generate that for iOS and Android. If I go and open that, you can see a few different build profiles like development, preview, and production. For development, I want to specify that simulator is true because that's where I'm going to be testing it. I've already installed expo-dev-client, but that's the easy way that you're going to be running your standalone application. So because I've already installed that, I can go ahead and just do a build for the platform iOS and profile development, and it'll prompt you for a few questions and then upload to Expo and start building for you once your queue is free. I'm going to do the same thing for the platform Android. If you want to build locally, you can look at one of my past tutorials on how to use that AES command line to do that. So yeah, that one's uploading too, and then it'll join that queue and it'll go ahead and build those, and I've just skipped ahead to them actually being built, and I can go ahead and download them. When I download the Android one, it's going to be an APK file. And for iOS, it's going to be a tar file, and when I expand that out, it's going to have the application file inside it. So I've opened my files and I can expand that tar file, and it's going to go ahead and give me that application file, and I can drag that into the simulator and it'll go ahead and install that. Now I just need to run the command expo start --dev client, and that's going to allow me to open my application in the standalone application. And I'm just going to type I, and it'll open in the iOS simulator and prompt me to open there. So if you look at my app, it's just got text in it at the moment, and that's because I haven't added the PDF viewer in yet. And so now I'm going to go ahead and add that in. I'm just going to specify a constant, which is going to hold my online source, which is basically going to be a PDF that's online that I'm going to download and display inside my PDF component. I'm just going to copy and paste that URI, and it's the same one from the documentation on the React Native PDF website. I'm just changing this to a safe area view so it's better in iOS. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a margin as well, just to make it look a bit better. And I'll make sure I import that. Next up, I'm adding my PDF component. There's a couple of things I need to specify against that, so some properties. Firstly, there's source, which I'm going to just provide that constant online source. And you can provide a few different handlers. For example, I've got onload complete. So onload complete, it's going to give me the number of pages, and also it's going to give me that file path. And I'm just going to console log it, but you could do whatever you wanted with that. So you might display something pretty for navigating the pages. There are some other callbacks you can provide. So on page changed, it will pass you back the page number and the number of pages. So you could use this to sort of show like the progress that the user has made through the PDF. I'm just console logging that once again. Another thing that you might want to handle is errors. So on error, it's going to call this callback and give you an error as the parameter. And you can do whatever you want with this. You could like call some logging system that you have so that you could diagnose errors that users are having. But for me, I'm just going to console log it because I'm just showing you how to add it. And finally, I'm just going to add an on-press link. So there are a couple of links in the PDF that I will be downloading and displaying. And I want you to be able to handle those. So you might want to pop up a browser or something. Just going to console.log that link that's been pressed, but yeah, you can handle it however you want. And you can provide a style. I'm just going to want my PDF component to basically take up whatever space is remaining. And to do that, I'm going to give it a style of Flex 1, and I'm also going to have the property align self set to stretch. So it's basically going to take up all the vertical and horizontal width that's available to it. You can see it's loading that document. And it's got a few pages there. And you can see in the console, it tells me what page I'm on when I get to a different page. And at the beginning, it told me the number of pages. I can reload and it'll show me that again. And you noticed it reloaded a lot faster the second time? That's because I set cache to true as part of that online source constant. If I set that to false, then it would have to reload it every time, and so there'd be that loading again. I'm going to have the PDF source as a state variable, and the reason for that is that I actually want to click some buttons and be able to update what the source is of the PDF, so I can display different PDFs and show you how to display different PDFs. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add a file, mypdf.js, and what that's going to have in it is it's going to have some base64 string basically, which is going to represent a PDF. Then I can show you how to display that inside the PDF component. So I'm going to import button because I want a button to press to be able to show that. I'll set the title of the button to show base64 PDF. And on press, basically, I'm going to set that PDF source. I also need to import the my PDF from my PDF, which is going to allow me to set that value against the source. So when it's pressed, I'm going to call set PDF source, and I'm going to provide the URI of data application /PDF, semicolon, base64, comma, and then I'm going to provide the data that is the base64 data, which is in that my PDF variable. I'm also going to set cache to true so that it's cached. I'm going to want another button so that I can change it back to my online PDF as well. So I'm going to call that button Show Online PDF. And on press, I'm just going to set that PDF source to be the online source. Cool, so if I click Show Base64 PDF, okay, so it didn't update. And looking at the code, I can kind of see why. So you can see that PDF source is not used anywhere, and it should actually be set as the source of the So I can see why. I can see that PDF source isn't used anywhere, and it should actually be set as that source of the PDF. So if I go ahead and change that now, you can see I can see my Base64 PDF. If I click Show Online, it updates, and if I click Show Base64, it goes back to that Base64 PDF. Now, I actually wanted to show you how to generate a PDF using expo-print, but I forgot to install that package, so I just go ahead and install it now. I'm going to need to rebuild my application because I've added that npm package and it wasn't seeming to work without rebuilding there. I'm going to import print to file async, as I'm going to use that to generate a PDF file that I can then display in my PDF component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new function that's going to generate the PDF, and it's going to take in a parameter that is going to basically determine whether I generate the Base64 content as well. If I generate the Base64 content, I want to display it, and if not, I want to use the file that's generated to display it, just because I want to show you as many ways to display a PDF as possible. So I'm going to have some HTML, which is what my PDF is going to be based off. I'm just going to fast forward through this because this isn't really the point of the tutorial. So with that HTML, I'm going to generate a file. So I'm going to have a constant file generated, and I'm going to await my call to print file async. To that, I'm going to pass a couple of things. So one of those is I want to specify what HTML I want to use to generate the PDF, and I also want to specify whether to generate the Base64 content. So I use that parameter generate Base64 to determine that. I'm also going to add another line to my HTML, which is going to display whether it's the Base64 file or not, just so it's really easy to see on screen what's happening. So I'm just going to show whether it's Base64 or not, and that will just help you identify whether it's showing the Base64 version or the file version. From there, I'm just going to do a console log on the file generated Base64 and the file generated URI, and that's just going to show you that it is only generating the Base64 when that generate Base64 parameter is set to true. So I'm going to add a couple more buttons so that I can generate those. So generate and show is just going to call that generate PDF with the generate Base64 set to false. And then I'm going to have generate and show Base64, which is going to pass in true to the generate PDF function, which means that the Base64 data will be generated. Then I'm going to create a new source from that from the file generated. So the URI is going to depend on whether I'm using Base64 or not. So if generate Base64 is true, I'm going to go ahead and make that URI be data :application/PDF Base64 comma, and then the data, which is going to come from file generated.base64. Otherwise, I can just use the URI from the file generated. And I'm going to set cache to true as I have done previously. I believe you can control how long the caching is for. You just need to look at the documentation for React Native PDF. I forgot to show you earlier, when you click the link, it shows you the link in the console. And that's just because I added that handler earlier. Click generate and show and it's not showing, and that's just because I haven't actually set that PDF source. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to set that to that new source that I've created. And you can see undefined for the base64 data and a file for the URI, and that's because I had clicked on generate and show, and so generate base64 was false. And if I click that again, you can see it on screen, and if I click the base64 one, it shows that. You can see as I click different options, it shows the different PDFs as expected. I just want to show you what happens when you set cache to false. So if I go click show online PDF, okay, I might need to change PDFs before I work. So if I go click show online PDF, you saw it took some time to load. Not super long, but enough to be annoying compared to when it's cached and it just loads because it's already loaded it and knows that what the PDF should roughly look like. It's unlikely to change very regularly, so it kind of makes sense, but if you do have a PDF that changes regularly, then it would make sense to set cache to false. Now I'm going to show you how to set the page, and to do that you're going to need a reference to your PDF component. So I'm going to set this ref property to be that PDF ref that I've just created using the useRef hook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another button that's going to go ahead and set that page. So I'm going to change the title to be change page, and the function's going to go and set the page using that PDF ref. I just call this set page function and pass a number. It should be less than the number of pages in the PDF. I've just hard-coded it, but you might do something different. So you can see that's taken me to a different page. If I go and set that page count to higher than what the count is, it's just not going to do anything. So you can see it doesn't change the page, and that's because the page count that I'm trying to set is higher than what page exists in the PDF. You can see that there's only 21 pages there, and that aligns with what's in the console. If I go back and try to set it to something lower than what we have as total page count, so let's say 18, if I go ahead and save that and change the page, then it should take me to page 18, which it does. Finally, I just want to show you it on the Android emulator, and the reason being is there is actually a slight difference that you need to enable for it to work for Android. So that's why it's good to test on both the iOS and the Android emulator. So I've installed that Expo View tutorial app, standalone app, and now I'm running the expo-dev-client and opening on Android. When that opens, I'm going to see that there's the PDF, and I can see a little error inside that console about the React Native blob util. And it says use of own trust manager but none defined. And you can notice that the loading of the PDF is stuck on 0. And I just am unable to show that online PDF no matter what I do. So what you can do here is if you head back over to your code, inside that PDF component, you're going to want to set a new property, and it's called trust all certs, and you're going to set that to false. When you run that and do a reload, then you can see that your PDF starts to load and it works correctly. If I click on change page, then it should take me to the correct page. And as you saw earlier, clicking on the different buttons was successful in taking me to the correct PDFs as expected. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. If you have, please like and subscribe for more content. All my code will be available on GitHub, so you can check it out there.